Hello everyone. Today we will see an introduction to HSRP. Why is HSRP used? Hot Standby Redundancy Protocol is actually for redundancy purposes. As you can see in this network, we have multiple PCs connected to this switch and to this switch. Even if we have multiple PCs, we will be forced to give either R1 or R2 as the gateway. So in case if R1 router fails, or the link from R1 to R3 fails, or the R1 switch to R1 link fails, or if there is any confusion in this or outage, we will be forced to manually go into the PCs and change the gateway address to R2 so that everyone can exit to the internet via R2. So in this network, what I have done is I have enabled OSPF between R1, R2 and R3, and I have a static route or default route pointing to the ISP router and a route back from the ISP to the R3 for internet connectivity. This is for internet connectivity. So the PCs can reach the internet via R1 or R2 based on whichever is the gateway. If R1 is the gateway, it will go via R1. So what we want to do is we want to make this seamless. If a link failure happens, say from the switch to R1 or switch to R2, we want to make the failure seamless without changing the gateway in the PCs. We want the traffic to automatically get rerouted via the other router. So how do we do that? So that's why we have hot standby redundancy protocol, which runs between R1 and R2 via these interfaces, which is connected to the switch. So it is a LAN protocol whereby you can give the virtual IP address of R1 and R2 in the PCs instead of the static IP address of the Ethernet. So if I have, say, the IP address of 1.1.1.1, I have an IP address of 1111 in Gigi00, that is this interface 1111, and here if you take, I have the IP address of 1112. So I can choose a IP address which is in the same LAN. I have a /24 mask, so I am going to use 1.1.1.3 as the virtual IP address. So what do I do is, once I go to the interface Gigi0/0, and now I have to enable HSRP. How do I do that? Standby 1 priority. I give a priority of 115, which I am going to make R1 as the higher active router, which means all the traffic is going to go via R1, and if there is a failure of R1, then it will go via R2. So I am making just as the chosen router. How do I do that? Standby 1 and then standby 1 preempt. Now I go to R2, I make it lesser priority in the interface Gigi00 standby 1 preempt standby 1 priority 105. So now if you go and see in R1 show standby, as you can see, state is active, which means this is the active router. And the virtual MAC I have given as 1113, which I already configured before. How do I configure that? Interface Gigi0/0 standby 1 IP 1.1.3. The same IP address we need to go and configure in R2 as well, meaning same virtual IP address, because these two share the virtual IP. All the machines PCs will have this IP address as the gateway. What it will have as the gateway? See, I have made this as the gateway. I have not made R1's physical IP address as the gateway or R2's physical IP address as the gateway. I have not made it that way. I have made 1.1.1.3, which is a shared IP address in the LAN or virtual IP address. It's not physically assigned to any interface. It's a virtual IP address. Whenever R1 is active, this will use the virtual IP address as the gateway. So R1 will be chosen as the gateway because this is active. The virtual IP address is now owned by R1. If this fails, it will be owned by R2. We'll see that whether it switches. No, now if you see show standby, this is the active router. So what I will do is I will shut this interface. Shut. Now what will happen is this will become the active R2. See, speak to standby. Now it is going to become the active router. See that. See, it has become the active router. Once it has become the active router, all the traffic is going to pass via this router. So what have we done? We have routing protocol running between all of these, and we have internet traffic. Instead of making one IP address, static IP address as the default gateway, we made the default gateway as a virtual IP address. We have